guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my HIKEATHON reading wrap-up. So, I read so many books in May, decided to split my reading wrap-up into two, which I usually do, but I usually do audiobooks and physical books, and I didn't do enough of the physical books to do that. So I'm gonna do my HIKEATHON reading wrap-up, which was my fitness hiking themed readathon that I did at the end of May. First, which are all the books that I read the last half of the month, so it's gonna be a little bit out of order, but it shouldn't really matter. I just wanted to get this up closer to when the readathon ended, talking about everything that I read and how the readathon went. And then stay tuned, in a couple days I will have my regular reading wrap up with all the things that I read for the first part of May. So all of these were on audiobook except for one, so I will list the narrators down below right here for you guys, and I'll talk about how I felt about all of them. I read 9 books in total, 8 audio and 1 physical, and overall I had a really great readathon. In case you missed it, I will link my whole HIKEATHON playlist up here for you guys in the cards. Just click that little eye and it will take you to the playlist that explains what the readathon was and has all the vlogs and everything of me reading and listening to these books. So without further ado, we're gonna dive right in. The first thing that I read via audiobook was The Lifeboat Click by Kathy Parks. This is a standalone contemporary book. I use this for my survival read because it is about a girl who is unpopular, goes to a popular kid's party. A tsunami hits it and she winds up being stuck on a lifeboat and a raft with the popular kids and trying to survive. Kind of about like relationships and growing up and also survival-y stuff. This one for me was okay. It was a fun read, if I can say something's fun when it was kind of heavy. It was dark, but it was really interesting. It's not something that I super loved. It was probably like a 3.5 star read overall. But yeah, if you like survival-y reads and you're in the mood for something different, then you can pick it up. The narrator was decent. She wasn't my favorite, but she was decently okay. Then I listened to The Cage by Megan Shepherd. I don't own this first book. This is the first in a trilogy. It is about teenagers that wake up and they are basically in a human zoo. There's like different habitats, and I think there's only 4 or 5 of them, and there's all these different habitats with like different types of animals and things, and they're trying to survive, and they're also trying to figure out why they're there and who put them there. And I just thought that was really interesting, and it was very different than I thought it was going to be, especially the ending. The ending was really good. Like the ending bumped this to like a 3.75 stars for me, and I'll definitely be reading the second book. But it was really fun and unique and had a little bit of romance in there as well, a little bit of sci-fi action. So I do recommend this one, and I'm glad that I finally got to it because it's been on my TBR for a while. Next up, I listened to Given to the Sea by Mindy McGinnis on audio, obviously. And this one I am not really sure how to review. It has a lot of hate here on BookTube and a lot of hate on Goodreads as well, and from my friends. And I listened to it expecting not to hate it because I try not to go into books like that, but having low expectations. And I know Mindy McGinnis is a kind of a weird writer. She puts like weird stuff in her books and she kind of pushes the boundaries, which sometimes I love and sometimes I'm like, too much. So this is about a girl who has grown up knowing that she is going to be sacrificed to the sea. It's like a legend in her village or her town or wherever she is. Her lineage basically bears a child, and once they bear a child, they are sacrificed to the sea. And so they basically stick around long enough to bear the next line of sacrifices. So she's grown up her whole life knowing that she is going to be sacrificed to the sea to help like save the village from these like mythical magical waves that will come in and like destroy the town or whatever it is. This has like a royalty aspect in it. There's a prince in here. It's got a lot of magical aspects. I understand why a lot of people dislike this book, but I don't understand why they dislike it so much. Like, it is slower and sometimes you get a little bit confused, but I enjoyed it. Maybe the audio was a lot better than physically reading it. I thought it was interesting. Some things didn't make sense. Some things were over the top, but I thought it was interesting. I especially like one of our side characters in here who has like an elemental power, and that was really kind of cool. I liked the ending. I thought it was wrapped up kind of nicely. So I wound up giving this like a 3 star, 3.5 star for my enjoyment level. Like, I kind of understand why people dislike it. There's a lot of like drama and weird topics in here because like people will want the main girl just to like get pregnant already so that she can be sacrificed and save their town. And the other plot for this is that she has like no interest in bearing a child or like being with anyone physically, and so she has to like overcome that or decide if she even wants to overcome that and all that kind of stuff. So I liked it. I don't know, maybe I'm a big weirdo. I thought it was enjoyable. I'm gonna read the next one. I understand where some people don't love it, but maybe because I went in with such low expectations, I was just kind of like, meh. But if you do read it, I would recommend the audiobook because I think the narrator did a pretty good job. And I physically read Mill by Lynn Matson. This is another survival read that I picked up. So this is about teenagers that wind up being magically transported to this island that doesn't really exist and nobody knows that they're there and they don't know how they got there, and it's got like a kind of like a Maze Runner vibe to it. Basically, they know that this island has certain rules. Our main character arrives and then there are kids that have already been there and they have figured out some of the rules of the island, and basically they have a full year to get off of the island or they die. And so they spend their whole time trying to do that. There's like a really interesting way that they're trying to leave the island, and there's all these different rules that these kids have in place. It's almost got like a Peter Pan Lost Boys vibe to it as well. I was super enjoying it because it's got a heavy survival aspect. It's got a lot of island jungle vibes, which is really what I was wanting for this type of a read. But the ending was kind of strange, and I think that the next book in this trilogy follows different characters, which is a little bit of a bummer. I wanted them to keep going, and so I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that. So it wound up still being like a 3.75 star read for me, even though I really loved the vibes. And honestly, like a 3 to 3.5 stars is not a bad rating. It's just kind of like in the middle for me. So I still highly recommend it because I loved those vibes and I liked a lot of things about it. I need people to talk to about it. So hit me up down in the comments below because I just wasn't sure about that ending. Then I actually decided to just finish up the Descendants Quartet. So I read all 3 of the rest of the series. I read the first one last HIKEATHON, I think. So I read Return of Isle of the Lost, Rise from Isle of the Lost, and Escape from Isle of the Lost. So these are about Disney villains' kids, and they're on an island and they wind up going to the mainland where all the other Disney villains' kids are, and they're all interacting. It's based kind of on the movies, or they kind of tie in together. Very cute middle grade series. Very simple but very fun. If you love Disney, I would recommend it, but keep in mind it is middle grade. I enjoyed these quite a bit and I'm glad that I read them. Glad that I finished another series. Yay. But there was, again, probably still like a 3.5 star read as a whole. I did like the last 2 in the series the most, so that was good. Not like overly amazing either, just something kind of simple and fun and a good palate cleanser. Then I listened to The Forbidden Garden. This one's narrated by one of my favorite narrators. She is so fantastic. I really love her, so I was excited to listen to this one because I'm in a gardening mood. So this one is about our main character. I can't remember her name, I'm very sorry. She lives in America with her sisters and they run this like garden center type thing, and she gets asked to come to England to help revive this garden that has been lost and just can't be revived for this family. They call it the Shakespeare Garden, and it's got some like historical elements to it for their area. And she and her sisters have like, they don't really have like mythical powers, but the village kind of talks about like how they might be like garden witches because everything grows so well for them. And so she gets summoned to go there, and she lives with this family and tries to revive this garden, and then she finds out it has like this mystery about it that she wasn't told before she arrived there, and then the job might be harder than she thinks. It was so lovely. It was a 4-star read, finally, for HIKEATHON, and I loved it so much. It was romantic, it was whimsical, it had those garden vibes, it had those English country hillside vibes. The family was really fun. There was a nice mystery in here and some good drama, and I really liked it a lot. So I highly recommend this one, especially if you're wanting something different. And this is an adult book as well, so love that too. And I basically just picked this one up because of the title and the cover, so I love when it turns out to be a good decision. And then lastly, I read The Beastly Bones, which is the second book in the Jacoby series. I'm really trying hard to finish up series this year, so I decided to read another one in a series I haven't finished yet. So the Jacoby series is kind of got like a Sherlock Watson vibe, but with like a female Watson. So Jacoby is a kind of like a mystery detective, and he has the ability to see magical creatures. I think they call him a seer. And our main girl character is like his assistant. She winds up stumbling into him and becoming his assistant, and she's really smart and clever. She can't see anything, and so she follows him around to solve these mysteries, and each book has like a different thing about it. It kind of has a Stalking Jack the Ripper vibe, but it's still very different at the same time. It's got that gothic Victorian era goodness that I really love. These are very short audiobooks. Same girl that narrates Stalking Jack the Ripper narrates these, and she's also one of my favorites. I love her so much, and these are just super fun. They're really fun. A little bit of history, a little bit of drama. I think I liked the second book even more than the first book, so it was pretty much a 4-star read for me, and I'm really excited to keep going and finish out the series. So if you like a little mystery but a little bit of magic and a little bit of that gothic Victorian goodness, I would definitely suggest checking them out. So that is it for all the books that I read for HIKEATHON. Like I said, stay tuned in a couple of days and I will be posting the books that I read for the first half of May. I did a good chunk then as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this wrap up. Let me know if you've read any of these books down below in the comments. And otherwise, I'll see you next time on The Bright Side. Bye!